Give me a second here. Okay, and the room is open. Here we go. Letting everybody in. You can see a few of us are really in the Halloween spirit over at Dale Stefanos' studio.
I know, it looks awesome.
Yeah. Not sure what's gonna happen there.
Special guest.
It's
Special
it's a
guest.
special
Oh
guest
my
this time
gosh,
of
I
year.
forgot about special guest. Oh my gosh, this is thrilling. Yeah, this is exciting. No one on the panel even knows the special guest.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we've got a celebrity guest tonight. Yeah, so we're gonna get going in a second. We're just gonna wait until the room fills up.
I mean, I joined with a, oh boy.
Just mute one side, one of the.
Yeah.
Here. What were you saying, Dale?
Hold on.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start the intro and we'll get things moving along.
Let it fly.
Illustration, isolation, illustration, isolation.
We should just leave it there.
Yeah. Yeah, so we all still don't know who the special guest is. So
I thought Dale brought him.
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome Chris Payne and Cassandra Loomis and Dale Stefanos, and then anybody else that's going to draw with us tonight. Tonight, we're going to continue on with our Halloween or monsters or scary things theme for the month of October. And it's not just going to be Dale, but what we do in the shadows. Audrey sent this to me, and unfortunately, Audrey had to travel today. She can't be here, but she sent this to me, and it's a television show I'd never seen before. Was inspired by a movie.
My favorite. It's one of my favorite shows.
The photography, it was unbelievable. Now there wasn't a lot of it, but it was just the lighting and costuming, and this stuff is really fun. This is Nandor the Relentless. Nadia. I just love her expression. I was kind of warming up with that one tonight. Laszlo's Cravensworth, I guess. What a shot and what a costume. And then the second character, again, I thought it might be fun. If somebody wants to draw either or, it's our longer pose. We're going to do 3 poses tonight, 220 and 140. And if you want to do both of these or spend time doing one for 40 minutes, that's fine. If you could, please post your work in between poses on Instagram to #illustration_isolation. If you're new to us, welcome. If you're not new to us, thanks for coming back. Timmy, anything you want to say before we get started?
I dropped the link, the one that John just shared up there. I dropped that in the chat, so that's where you'll grab the photos. No Lost Boys today. Somebody just asked about Lost Boys. Don't worry about it. This is better. Just be sure to share your artwork with us. You can see all the info on that photos page. And also we're going to send reminders, but be sure to share your work with us tonight on Instagram. So, but we'll fill you in on how to do that when the time comes. Other than that, let's get to drawing.
I'm ready. I'll stop my share and we can do whatever we need to do.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling we're going to have some technical support with the Stefanos headquarters.
Well, I'm dying to know who the guest is.
So far, it seems that the guest may be a mannequin. Oh, I see. I see. Dale's entered through the crowd.
Of course he has.
Okay.
You got directions from Don Kilpatrick.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a crowd scan real quick.
Pull Terry Brown out, pull
Yeah,
Don
the
Kilpatrick,
usual suspects.
Adam Gustafson.
Okay, now we have two. Now we have two mannequins.
Curious and curiouser.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yep, we lost one.
Yeah, we lost one. So anyways, everybody, this is the Halloween episode. So or thank you for joining. Yeah, and is anybody joining us or drawing with us for the first time?
Well, whoever's visiting Dale is
Yeah.
Jason or whatever, whoever that is, Mike Myers or Jason or
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell from my
I think it's Mike Myers.
yeah.
Okay,
That's his
cool. We
first
got a
time.
lot of we got a lot of first time people here. This is great.
My husband may be in the crowd. Yep, there he is. E-Man Kim, that's my husband downstairs trying to draw with my daughters going, daddy, 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 daddy.
Oh, that's great.
And your daughters just want to, can't everybody draw?
Well, it's just getting them to sit still, like, well, and draw. They want to play video games or something right now.
Yeah, but I thought that from all the people I was around as a kid, I thought everybody knew how to draw.
Yeah, well, and my husband's a really good drawer, actually. So yeah, they think everybody can draw. Chris, how was Lexicon? Did you get a picture with the big giant? Because that's what everyone from Lexicon I've seen pose with the giant sculpture.
Nope, didn't do that. I was just going around letting the students do their thing. I would run into a few artists that I knew, spoke with them a little bit. But it was as much as anything letting the students do it. I didn't see that. We were there on Thursday, so I don't know if the giant thing was there on Thursday. Thursday seems to be the better day for, students to be able to mingle with some of the artists. It's a more relaxed moment where, when we got there, I think our students were able to hang with Donato Giancola for like 20 minutes without any interruption.
Oh, cool.
Which was really remarkable. And Boris Vallejo was there and Julie Bell. So we got to visit with both of them for a while. David Wenzel was there, got to visit with David quite a bit. There were a number of artists who weren't there for the last time, like Scott Gustafson was not there. There are a fair number of folks. Was it just Gerard? I did not see him there. Now, some of those folks may have come in the second day. As I said, we were there the Thursday, which seems to be, at least my experience, the more relaxed day where the artists are more able to have time to visit with students.
I don't think Justin went. I follow him on Instagram and normally he posts about it.
Right.
I'm glad you got to do that, Chris.
Well, it was nice. And like I said, we had really terrific artists. We stayed in Media, which is outside of Philadelphia. We did go into the Philadelphia Sketch Club to draw, which is really cool because it's like the oldest, art club in the United States. Some pretty decent artists, were members and drew there. So it was pretty cool.
They let you in, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, it's who you know, right? It's who you know.
Hey Dale, so did Matt Damon cancel?
No, he sent his brother Mike.
Oh.
And we've kicked Mike out of the club here, so. I like 2 days before Halloween. I can't believe Mike Myers' appearance isn't enough of a special guest
It
for you
was
guys.
great. It was-
It is a tough room, man. Jeez. So what, Santa Claus at Christmas wouldn't do it?
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd. It is a tough crowd.
Hey, San Francisco, I mean, what is it? Philadelphia and Santa Claus, they didn't get along.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Throwing out snowballs and ice balls and everything they could grab.
Oh, yeah. Well, as I recall, I think their record kind of helped seed that.
Baseball is dead to me for the season.
Yeah, well, it's a bunch of who cares are in it.
Somebody's
That's how you
got-
really feel.
Man, I'm with you. We actually thought the Red Sox might have a shot, and no. So, Chris, I was just talking to Greg Newbold. He said hello.
Oh, good, good dude.
Yeah, he is.
Went through our program. Is doing really good stuff.
He is. I follow him.
He's got I guess, a show up in, is it Cody, Wyoming? Is that where the show is?
Yeah, at the Brenton Museum.
Yeah.
I saw him post on that. He's doing some nice work.
Yes.
Dale, how hard did you get hit with the nor'easter?
Oh, Massachusetts got crushed. My town in particular made it out well, and I think it's because we had about a 10-year stretch where, you know, if someone belched, the power would go out. Sometimes it just would go out for no reason. So they really thoroughly trimmed all the trees, and there's nothing to take lines down now. But there are towns here that probably won't have power for another week.
Yeah, it just seemed like y'all up there got hit hard.
Yeah, it was ripping.
And I always think of Dale. Don't those nor'easters usually come a little later in the season?
Yeah. This is an early one. Yeah. It's usually between, you know, October and you know, March that the real heavy
That's what I
season.
mean. I guess I'm always thinking of them more after the Christmas holiday season.
Yeah.
It's more in that January to February time frame.
Yeah, it's the fall nor'easters that are really bad though, because there are still leaves on the trees.
Right.
Like we had one October, I don't know, maybe, geez, it could have been 10 years ago now, where right about now, we had about a foot of snow, and, you know, that with all of the leaves on the trees, it looked like a war zone. I mean, they were just, and we lost power here for about a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. You
It
think
happened to us in Kansas City at one point where we had 8 days of no power, but the high in the 8 days was like 10. It was
Oh
just
my gosh.
insanely cold.
Yep.
Ice storm.
Yeah.
You get those much, Dale? We used to get them a lot in southern New England. We'd get quite a few ice storms.
We don't get them that much, actually. No, it's usually either rain or snow, but you know, everything's changing now. So it feels like we've moved, you know, a couple of 100 miles south.
Were you all talking about a LuxCon earlier?
Yeah.
I mentioned that. Was anybody there?
Yeah. Like I said,
Yeah.
Donato Giancola was there, Bob Eddington, Boris Vallejo,
Yeah.
Julie Bell.
Did it feel like it was a full experience?
Pretty much so. I mean, again, you did occupy 3 floors, but it wasn't quite as congested. I mean, there were some noticeable missing. Scott Gustafson, as I said, Scott's usually there.
It was a tough year because I would imagine their whole promotional schedule was right during the summer,
Sure.
summer probably, which was not an easy time to promote an event.
Well, it's not just the tough time to promote, it's the tough time to commit. Because once you make that commitment, it's the commitment part of it.
Yeah, well, and I think in the summer nobody was sure that
It would happen.
a conference would be a
Viable thing, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and on top of it, when we had booked Philadelphia, my goal was to do the brandy wine one day along with the Delaware. But, the brandy wine had, I don't know how much damage they had, but they were affected by the flooding from the storms in the Philadelphia area that came up from the hurricane. From what I understand, they didn't have any damage to any art, but the museum has been closed for a while. But fortunately, John Schoonover of the Schoonover Studios, he was open and graciously gave us a wonderful tour and presentation. And that's pretty close to the Delaware. So it was, a short trip over there. We were able to walk up and go by the studios that Howard Pyle occupied there in Wilmington. So students, besides the really good speakers that we had, the young, the up and comers and the seasoned ones, we had a good variety of speakers. They also got a great sense of history.
That's so cool.
Awesome.
It was great. And they had a really nice show at the Delaware of some contemporary folks. You had Tony DiTerlizzi along with Leo and Diane Dillon. And who was the other one? And then of course, the Delaware also has a terrific collection of pre-Raphaelites too. And guys like John Sloan and the likes. It was just a great show.
Sounds like you had a good time.
We did. We were very lucky. Like I said, we stayed in media, which allowed, I think under these current conditions, allowed the students a little bit more flexibility and didn't hinder us as far as our guest speakers. We had a good group, a good variety of folks.
Excellent.
It was sad that while we were gone, that we heard the word of Jerry Pinkney passing.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
What a nice man.
What a legacy, what a legend. I mean, the guy, I think the first time I set foot in the Society of Illustrators, the first person I ran into was Jerry.
Oh, that's cool.
And what a nice man. He was friends with one of my teachers that I had in college. He was just always very gracious.
That's funny, Chris. The first time I was at the society, he was shockingly generous with his time.
Yeah.
I went up to him like, you do when you first go there, and stuttered and said, "Are you?" And he said, "Yeah." And, we stood there and talked for probably way too long. I was just really surprised at what a down-to-earth, decent, welcoming guy he was.
Oh, what a great memory.
Yeah.
My first time as an adult, as a professional into the Society of Illustrators, I walked in the door. In the first 5 steps, I ran into Baron Story and Murray Kinkelman having this insane argument.
Yeah.
And it stopped me where I thought, these two guys are going to come to blows. I mean, they were that mad at each other. And then remember Jim Sharp.
Yep.
Jim Sharp, he was the chair of the committee, and he greeted me at the door, and he just smiled, and he knew I was really taken off guard by the whole thing. And I kind of just said, "Are they okay?" And he goes, "No, neither one of them are okay, but they do this every time they see each other." So
That's riot.
Yeah, the great line I always loved between Murray and Barron was remarking about a piece of work and said it was elegant, and Murray said, "Yes, it reeks of elegance." They were like oil and water.
yeah.
But that was a great line. It reeks of elegance. And then there was another point where, well, I'll just let it go.
Yeah, let that one go. I know where you're going. He and Alan.
No, it's just I was going to say where Murray.
Wait a second.
Well, I don't even have to finish it. You guys can use your own imagination. Murray
That
said,
might make it worse.
said, "I got 2 words for you."
All right.
2 words.
Hey, I actually
Who's our guest tonight?
Yeah, I actually have a question. How many audience members selfishly watched Dune last week instead of drawing with us?
Selfishly.
Yeah, okay, Joshua.
How many fair-weathered fans?
Yeah, if you skipped the show to watch Dune, you are fair weather.
Has anyone seen that? Is that any good?
I'm about halfway through it. My husband and I started it last night.
Well, I saw Sienkiewicz gave it high marks.
That's what I was going to say. I think, judging from Bill's critique, it was pretty good.
Well, visually it's beautiful too.
So, Cassandra, I heard that you're one of the sinners then, because I read somewhere that if you watch this on your TV or your smart whatever, you're not doing it right.
How are you supposed to do it?
I'll go to a movie theater apparently.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously they don't realize when you have 4-year-old twins, you don't get out no matter what. So
Yeah, Cassandra, you're telling me that your 4-year-old twins wouldn't enjoy the 4-hour epic film that is Dune? Do you think that the nuance of Dune would go over their heads?
Oh, they'd so get it. And we could all discuss like what it represents and where we're going with our society.
Do they explain in Dune why everybody is in these massive spaceships and that there's like this incredible technology, but everybody fights with swords still? Do they?
No, it like
touch
so
on that?
I'm one of the people who have not read the books and I haven't seen the earlier Dune. So
Yeah.
I'm like going into this blind. So I honestly like don't really know what's going on, but I'm
Oh, yeah.
enjoying it. Like I'm trying to
in-
understand the society that's represented.
Does Sting make a cameo in this one?
So far I haven't seen it, but I'm waiting for him. We could have a theme night, old Dune versus new Dune for illustration isolation.
There we go.
Like
I
old
gotta
Star
get
Trek.
I gotta get Chris's schedule because Great Expectations is chomping at the
Yeah. I'm just going to remind you guys one more time. We are trying to develop an online program for people who know how to get online.
bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a prerequisite.
Dune would be great. I would like a Dune night.
No, Cassandra, I
I want to
think
compare
sound.
Dune with Great Expectations. That's big words.
Or
Hi,
just
Dale, what'd you say?
I was just going to say, I think the sound of a confused 4-year-old at in the theater with a bunch of Dune geeks would be a really probably more entertaining than the movie itself.
Oh, they wouldn't sound confused. They would just scream in disgust that they weren't watching what they wanted to watch. And it's definitely not Dune.
It's all relevant to the audience. Yeah.
I did watch Squid Game.
Oh boy, like all the way through?
Yep.
Oh, don't spoil it, but does anyone die?
Barely noticeable. Barely noticeable.
I really liked Squid Game.
Oh, it was really well done. My husband is Korean, and everyone has asked him if he's watched it for the mere fact that he's Korean. And so we're like, I guess out of responsibility, we should just watch it because they're gonna keep asking.
Yeah. I liked it. It was pretty brutal, but
Brutal, yes.
liked it.
But I mean, they casted everyone so well.
Gosh,
Did you watch
just in
it with
general,
subtitles or did you watch it like dubbed over?
I can't do dubbing. I watch subtitles.
I
Yeah,
watch
watch
subtitles too.
Yeah. I can't think of many. I can't think of any movie where I could really tolerate subtitles. I mean, dubbing. Dubbing bugs me usually because you know what? It's not that the dubbing actors are bad. It's that it always sounds so sterile.
Right, and it just doesn't sync up, and that drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's usually because what happens is if they captured the audio on set, they're having to, when they dub it, they're having to replace almost all the audio, like all of it.
Well, I was just curious because there's the really whiny chick and like how she sounded in English versus Korean.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't listen to the dubbing, but I've been like, man, the past few years I mean, and it's probably been going on for a much longer time, but so many great Korean projects have been, I feel like doing pretty well in the States that I caught. I love a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're discovering other
It's always
parts
been
of
there.
politics.
We're just discovering it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't had a chance, I know last night on Turner Classic, they had a really interesting doc on Carl Laemmle Sr. Most people know about Louis B. Mayer and Samuel Goldwyn and a lot of those folks, but not many people know that much about Carl Laemmle and his legacy and history in Hollywood and post Hollywood. If you ever get if they rerun it, it's well worth watching. You should watch it.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't know what Carl Laemmle
Yeah, I was
did.
gonna say I didn't know any of those names.
Carl Laemmle was the guy who basically started Universal Studios. And just the great movie directors that he brought over, introduced. I mean, John Ford, William Wyler, the legacy that he had is just, it's off the charts. And on top of it, he was a really gracious, nice man who did an enormous amount, saving numbers of Jewish folks from the Holocaust and Nazi Germany. Because, well, he was a German Jew, he had a great deal of affection for his country, but obviously when things went south, I mean, it's just fantastic. I mean, he was behind, All Quiet on the Western Front, some of the early great movie making. And then, of course, later on, his son was part of, the entire genre of Universal Studio horror movies like Dracula, Frankenstein, and the like. And that's all, Universal Studios that comes from Laemmle.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was an amazing production. I mean, I'm a baseball geek and everything, but I started watching it and I just could not turn. It was fantastic.
What's the title of the documentary? I want to find it.
I don't know. I can't remember if they had a specific title, but it was a document on Carl Laemmle Sr.
Okay.
And Laemmle is L-A-L. I think there might be an Laemmle, something like that. But it's just, if you just look up, Dracula, I mean, that was Carl Laemmle Jr. And he was behind All Quiet on the Western Front, which of course is one of the all-time great anti-war films of all times. I mean, it's a powerful movie. I don't know. I know you guys don't like black and white movies.
Oh, I love black and white movies. I just haven't seen it.
Have you ever seen All Quiet on the Western Front?
Sure. Yeah,
Oh.
of course.
Man, the original, the one from like 1931 or 33,
Yeah.
whatever year that is. Because they did another one that had John Boy in it.
I'm gonna say the most Chris Payne thing I've ever said. Chris, the book was so much better.
Well, it's funny is there's a true story behind even that where,
Yeah.
Billy Wilder met Remarque, and I guess he queried him about writing, and because I guess he was also a journalist prior to, and he had written his book, and Billy Wilder said, "Stick to journalism."
Oh, really?
And of course, he ended up writing the greatest novel dealing with an anti-war sentiment. And the thing that was so unique, of course, at the time was it's from the perspective of the German soldiers.
Right.
Which after World War I in the United States, there was as much antipathy for Germans as there was during World War II for Japanese. They had internment camps in World War I for German citizens. I bet you didn't know that. And so there was a great deal of antipathy. And so when Lamley decided to make All Quiet on the Western Front, a lot of movie people were saying, don't do it from the German perspective because of that. But he insisted on that. And of course, the movie is the great thing that it is. It's a fascinating film to watch. It really is. It's worth your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Hmm.
You learn something every day with things like that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We ought to be thinking about going to our second pose.
Yep. So we're gonna move on to the second pose. I can
Hey,
see our
John, I can't
panelists.
see your board, by the
Okay.
way.
1 second.
I purposely did that. I've been drawing the second pose the whole time.
All right, so we're moving on to the second pose, which means definitely post your work from that first pose to Instagram using hashtag illustration isolation and @ visual arts passage. You can see Chris and Dale started with the second pose.
Okay, good.
No,
I
that
was
was
trying
the
to
first-
question
No.
whether I was on the right pose or not.
No,
That's
so the
great.
audience, okay, so the audience, just to be clear, if you're drawing what Cassandra's drawing, that's pose number 1. And I know you all know what the order of the poses are because they're correct on the website. So just move on to pose number 2.
Or if you did pose number 2, do pose number 1.
Yeah.
Well, on my email thing that I got from you guys, this was pose number 1 on mine.
Yeah, I can't control that, the way that loads.
This event really does rely on people using our website. Yeah. All right. Cassandra, are you using the walnut ink?
Yep.
I need to forward you some emails. We've gotten some very nice responses from your blog post.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad. I was hoping people would try it too. It was really fun to make.
Yeah, if anybody's wondering, Cassandra wrote a really nice like DIY art supplies on how to make walnut ink at home.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'll share it in the chat. I'm hoping that we're gonna have more of those regular contributors to our blog on kind of fun stuff. Bill Cobe just wrote a really great how to make your first panel for a comic book, which is also a great lead up to his comics class that starts in 2 weeks. So
Awesome.
yeah,
I didn't know we had a blog.
we've got a blog, Dale.
Hmm.
If you want to write for the blog, I'm surprised I haven't bugged you to write for the blog yet.
Now you know.
Cassandra is writing I really am looking forward to, and I know this isn't what it's going to be, but like your spiteful acrylics.
Oh, well, there's some companies that put trash in their pigments, and I just think they shouldn't be embarrassed to sell it. But I'm
I
gonna.
kind of think instead of writing like a best acrylics blog, it should be like an acrylics to stay away from.
Yeah.
Don't buy, yeah, maybe we call it, it'd be a recurring, like the visual arts passage blacklist of art supplies.
Well, I feel like someone's gonna come behind me and be like, "I really love that," and they're gonna show me some amazing piece that they did, and I'm just gonna sound mean.
Yeah.
So like just between us, what's the garbage?
Oh, I'll tell you, it's Michael. Like I got.
Oh, well,
I tried it. I was just curious, and oh my gosh, it's like all of it is just chalk powder. Like they're burnt sienna. When you add white to it, it turns blue.
but I mean, isn't that kind of like saying McDonald's is junk food?
Use the same analogy. I got a bad meal at McDonald's.
Oh,
Yeah, I
You know
know,
what?
but I was
It-
disappointed that it was that bad.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you do go to McDonald's, there are times when jonesing for it, it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
So-
I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying, we all know exactly what it is.
Hey, so in defense of what Cassandra's saying is, well, I know seasoned veterans understand that. I think there are
Yeah.
probably a lot of people that are trying to save $1 and they're thinking maybe, how different could it be? And
That's a good point.
and they probably mess up, and and then they find out the hard way.
So you know what I think would be a really good one, and I think we might lose a sponsor here, but
Careful.
what the good things to buy at a place like Michael's are.
That would
'Cause
probably be a more positive article.
Yeah, and only
Well, I
that.
guess
And-
my question is, if I'm gonna rate acrylic paint, do you guys want a serious rating of like heavy body top brands, or do you want me to look at like student grade brands and more rate that? Like, what would people's preference be to know?
Oh, I don't know.
Audience.
That's helpful, isn't it?
That was helpful. That was very good.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because that's the question. Like, that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, do you want me to look at the
Yeah.
more inexpensive brands and rate that, or do you want me to look at kind of the big names that are heavy body that you can do
Cassandra, I think you should really have a just a lights out Pulitzer Prize winning expose and
that's what I'm
expose
known for.
expose the high end stuff.
Oh yeah, kind of an investigative.
Yeah, so like Old Holland, what's their garbage pigment? Because it's in there.
Well, the thing is, though, I can't afford to buy all their pigments and try it. I was more thinking I'll do a baseline of maybe the primary colors from different brands. And like, I was thinking about putting a swatch of each color and just hanging it in the window of direct light in my house for a week and see if any of them fade, just do tests like that.
That's a really good idea, but since you're doing it for Visual Arts Passage, I mean, I'm sure they'll just expense account that stuff for you and you'll be good.
Watch it, Dale.
Right?
Yeah. No, we're excited. I'm excited for this. Dale and Chris are definitely not our target audience for the blog.
Yeah. So thank you, Marcy. I see Chuck saying a bit of both.
I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word.
No, I think that you just immediately grabbed onto McDonald's. I love McDonald's. No, so hopefully we're gonna have more articles coming out soon. And I was joking, we're not writing a spite article.
No, but I am gonna rate acrylic paint. So I would love to know, like, Hive Mind crowd, what would you guys rather? Would you rather me rate heavy body like top brands, or would you rather me look at student grade and rate that of what like the best in the affordable range? I mean, not that like heavyweight acrylic is, I think, still pretty reasonable, but you know what I mean.
Are there like boutique brands that you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
Yeah.
that like really small batch,
Yeah.
maybe not available?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Are they all made overseas, or are some of them made in the US that you go after?
Um,
That's not the small batch I go for.
Or yeah,
well, it's
you're
not,
more of a Scotch guy, Chris.
There you go. Scotch and bourbon. There you go.
Yeah.
No, but on the topic of art supplies,
Okay.
as much as you might think that is art supplies,
It's a necessity.
yeah, as much as you think, as much as you might write that off as art supplies, Chris. Yeah, I was just kind of curious of like, yeah, some of the like hidden gems, not acrylics necessarily, but just like anything.
Oh yeah, like especially I feel like it's even more so in oil than it is acrylic.
Really,
yeah, like,
Where it's
like,
like a
Michelle, I
small-
totally agree with you about
Yeah.
golden acrylics, by the way. They're great.
like for smaller, not like small batch, but Vasari makes really, really great paint.
How do you spell that?
Vasari.
Where, I mean, you get those through like an online store? Because I trust me, our plaza, they don't carry that.
No, yeah, I just buy them from their site online. I don't know if you can see this or not, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
That-
Okay, gotcha.
Really
Is that,
super good.
is that oil or acrylic? Sorry, I had my hair dryer on.
Are there like brands where, and this is kind of a noob question, but like, are there brands where it's like, oh yeah, it's this small family-owned operation? I've seen that for pastels, I guess. There was like a family in Italy that do soft pastels, but I don't know.
Yeah, there are things like that. They're hard to find. Like when I was in Florence, I was going out of my mind because I found just exactly what you're talking about, and I couldn't. I lost the information, and so all I have is I don't even have it anymore. The tube, and I don't speak Italian and can't read it, so I was kind of lost. I didn't really know how to track it down. And then by the time I did, it was in the middle of the pandemic, and it seemed like they had ceased to exist. But that's a good question. I love that kind of thing. This stuff's really good too. Geneva. This is very small. This guy actually puts there's like medium in here.
Oh, interesting.
So it flows super smooth. You can use it right out of the tube, and you don't have to put a lot of medium in there.
Okay, what are some ways that you guys like personally rate paint when you use them?
Really, the for me, the amount of pigment to vehicle ratio for me is huge. Because if you don't have to squeeze a lot of paint out to get something done, then it's
Yeah.
actually cheaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that golden was made in the US. I mean,
Yeah.
is a lot of it made in the US?
Yeah, it's a really nice company.
Are a lot of acrylics made in the US? Is that, or is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I don't know why I would assume they weren't, but we should get sponsored by Golden.
I also really like my pick is always Liquitex.
Yeah.
Basically, I want to test everything against that for me personally.
Yeah.
Well, I know it sounds pretty petty, but I mean, one of the things that at least I always liked about Liquitex is when I say packaging, I'm not talking about the design of it, but the thing is, some of these tubes, they got a plastic cap, a metal tip, and closing and opening. It drives you crazy.
Yeah.
Liquitex is plastic on plastic, and it's so much easier to keep your supplies clean and easy to manage.
Totally agree with you on that.
The other thing too is, I'll end up buying, I think one of the colors, I think that's really two different colors, I think is uniquely different between different companies. And one of those colors is burnt sienna. A burnt sienna with a Winsor Newton is completely different color than, say, from Liquitex or somebody else. And that can be the same thing with permanent green light. You can get these colors that, they say but they're not at all compatible with each other.
You're
And
right.
You're right. Do you find it also even with watercolors?
I don't know enough across watercolors, but I've definitely found definitely a differentiation between pigment for some brands.
So sometimes when I would be mixing a flesh tone, I couldn't use, I think it was Winsor Newton burnt sienna. Because it would work, I could use my Turner's yellow, or I could use something else to get my flesh tones. But as my base starter, that I always started with burnt sienna as my base, and then I would rosy it up, dull it up, yellow it up. I don't know. Do you guys, when you start mixing a flesh tone, do you start with burnt sienna and white and something else, or what do you guys do? I always start with burnt sienna.
I do too.
I'm like a yellow ochre, alizarin crimson. Depends on, if it's a Caucasian person, I start with yellow ochre, alizarin crimson.
Yeah, exactly. There's no doubt about that, depending on I'm just talking in very general terms. It just seems the way, that's what burnt sienna was for me. I always used burnt sienna. I had a hell of a time early on trying to be able to mix a flesh tone with alizarin crimson, or let's put it this way, the Liquitex, that naphthol crimson, boy, is that a puke color.
Yeah, I way prefer cadmium red light.
Yes.
Over the naphthol, yeah.
But I think, I would always tell my students, you get all your tubes of paint and get yourself just a piece of blank board and mix every one of those colors up. Mix every green with a little white, see what it looks like. Mix every red with a little white, mix them with a little black, and then start mixing them with different yellows, because you start finding the properties of each pigment is completely different. They don't follow the color wheel.
So I was thinking about that, about how paint tint. Would I have to have use each brand's personal white and black to mix with, or could I use a base black and white that I mix them all with just to see how their chroma is?
Well, of course, the other thing that comes into play, it's not just the chroma, it's the opacity. You get a phthalo, the chromatic part of a phthalo is pretty intense.
Yeah.
But it's a very transparent color.
Yeah, it's a bully though.
Oh God, it can just take over if you're not careful.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I like what you said about the packaging, Chris. That's always driven me nuts. The here, this is an old Holland.
Yeah.
Very expensive, right? High grade paint. And before you even get halfway through the tube, this cap is shredded.
Yeah, you got to use pliers. You got to get pliers to get into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a cigarette lighter.
Right. Visari, the one I just showed you, they have a much wider cap, so you never have that problem.
Yeah.
Same thing with M. Graham.
Gamblin, I have the problem with Gamblin. I love Gamblin, but even there, I listened to them talk, and they were talking about the same thing. They don't want to do wider because they don't want to waste paint by having you squirt too much out. But then they also realize that the cap becomes wonky.
Yeah, this is not high tech.
Yeah, I
think
wouldn't use the word wonky. It's a pain in the butt, is what it is. It's that simple. They can call it wonky if they want to, but it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing this guy with the beard. Is this the guy that was in the IT crowd?
no,
Laszlo?
Played the
In the-
boss?
no, in the show.
Yeah, the IT crowd. Is he the guy that was one of the bosses that came back from the dead and was? Have you ever watched the IT crowd?
Oh, no, I don't know, but just based on the name of the show you're
Two
talking
people
about.
have said yes, he was.
Oh, okay. Because you would think Colin would be the IT guy in this crowd.
Colin Robertson.
I love the idea for him. 'Cause it's so
I
true.
feel like there's people where you're like, I think I know, an
Yeah.
energy vampire.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a guy who looks and acts like this is Laszlo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the American version of Laszlo.
So then he's a character.
Yeah. Born in the wrong time, as they say.
This costuming in this thing kind of reminds me of the old Blackadder shows.
Oh yeah, totally. Blood dry. Mhm.
So is everybody tonight using the same materials as usual? Anything special?
No, pretty much so the same, maybe playing around with a few extra colors, but that's pretty much so at pencil on gray paper.
I'm just drawing with new pastels.
I mean, as you guys have seen, sometimes afterwards, I'll come back in later on some acrylics, but it's just easier, just stick with this. And then if I want to play with it later on, I can.
I loved
What's
your
the-
Frankenstein.
Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
So we've got about, I would say, 5 minutes left in this second pose. And then we'll be moving on to the long third pose.
Just like too focused on trying to get her whole pose here that I just got behind. Oh, I started listening to a new podcast.
What is it?
Noble Blood. And it's all about going through different royalty through history and different countries and just telling their crazy stories. So I got on the Tudor kick and just went through all the Tudors. And then now I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but there's some wild stories.
I don't doubt. Have you guys ever seen it? I think it's on, I don't know if it's a podcast, but the History Guy, or did I mention that before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen that.
That dude is fun.
Yeah.
So what's the program called again, Cassandra?
Called Noble Blood.
Okay. I bet my wife would love that. Sounds really right up her alley.
Yeah, like she does a really good job of just like bringing how people would probably be feeling, like the emotion of what was it like to be, pulled in as a wife for Henry VIII and kind of how complicated that was. Or, Marie Antoinette's last days.
Does it kind of, I mean, I guess it's called Noble Blood. So I've got a feeling that it really gets into the grittiness of it.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I think a lot of that stuff sometimes like romanticizes it.
It does not feel romanticized.
Yeah. Because when you really start to tear it apart, it's pretty like dark and grim.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Well, I mean, it was at that particular time where, I mean, everything was pretty dark and brutal. Everything. Right.
But I mean, they go through all the ages, like they do King Edward was he the 8th? Whoever abdicated his throne because of Wallis Simpson.
Oh yeah.
So like he dated somebody before he abdicated the throne that later like murdered her husband. And so how they kind of tried to cover that up.
A lot of royal sociopaths, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're untethered by the rules of society, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like politicians.
Yeah, let's open up that can of worms.
Yeah.
Back then it was.
Wait. Is it before we get into that?
No, but you had all these families that were just kind of interwoven together. I mean, it's kind of like, you overbreed a Cocker Spaniel, they'll go crazy. So that's what happens with those families.
Yeah. That's why they all have hip dysplasia.
I was totally going to make that joke. That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of royal hip dysplasia.
Yeah.
Do you guys watch The Crown? I haven't watched The Crown, but man, everybody raved about it.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I watched the first season and then I just got distracted. It's not that it was bad.
Someone told me that it was more fiction than fact. They said, don't bother unless you like fiction. I don't know if that's true or not, but.
So don't bother watching a TV show with actors because it's fiction.
They just said that it was a far cry from the truth.
Yeah.
And it was, okay, because I haven't seen it and I don't know the fact of this. They basically were just saying, if it's parading as if it's a true story, but it is like they were saying it was a pretty embellished version of it. And I don't know the truthfulness of that assumption, but
sort of like Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
I don't know. The truth in that story is pretty strong. I don't know if there's that much reason to embellish it.
What story?
Oh, just the Crown. I mean, it just amazes me that that's the way things were or have been.
Did you watch that show, John?
Did you watch it, John?
I did. My wife was a big fan.
Did you like it?
I did. The parts I saw. I watch TV as like it's always on in the background, and then certain things I'll focus in on, then I fall asleep a lot. And I'll be surprised where, she's 3 episodes down the road and I'm like, what happened?
She doesn't wait for you.
No. Are you kidding?
She knows you.
It's my wife. She didn't wait for me.
Somebody asked a really interesting question. Are you ready, guys?
I'm ready.
All right. I said I asked this question a little earlier, but it might have gotten lost. So I apologize if it was seen and deemed inappropriate. I wanted to ask about what makes a student stand out, student compared to others, or what makes you think someone is still early in their development as a professional, has the capability to be successful. What are the traits you think are universal for successful illustrator or even just a budding one?
I've always said, I think the most common thing that I find in successful illustrators, they all have curiosity.
Yep.
They never stop learning.
Yep. Number one, right?
How much do you think talent or born with talent has anything to do with it?
That was going to be my response. And I'll always say that want outruns talent all the time.
Yep.
If you want to
You
do
don't
it,
need a whole lot.
you'll figure it out.
And the thing is, I mean, how do we're here drawing, how would you define, good drawing? I knew people who did not think Alan Kober, for example, was a good drawer. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Alan
They
Kober.
didn't know anything about drawing.
Well, thank you very much. But the point is, because his drawing doesn't have that traditional classical, look to it, there's a personality to it. There's an emotion to it. There's a uniqueness to it. And there's an honesty in it. And so I think one of the things that oftentimes when people talk about what is good drawing, they think of it in only classic terms. And I think, you've got to be open and to all of it. And so what is it, what is it that made Alan a great drawer? And it can't be just simply say, look at it, figure it out. There's more to it than that. And, I think those are the kinds of questions that for a young person, for them to study art and that curiosity thing, study these folks, people like an Alan Kober, the diverse work of Alan Kober versus Rockwell versus Fuchs versus English versus Glazer. You go down the line of all these great artists. They're all unique and they're all different in their personality and the way they draw. Study that. And to me, it's like studying music, studying science, studying anything else. It's study. It's the curiosity to find out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. My wife teaches second grade, and I understand this is a different level of education, but one of the things that I think is really interesting reading that question is this idea of like promise or like a promise, to describe somebody as promising. And that's like one of the biggest hurdles I think at like teachers, especially at that level, deal with, is this idea of like fostering a promising student versus a student who is perceived as not promising. It's a major issue because kind of who is to judge that. And then we've talked before about like how people learn differently, and kind of what we were all just talking about, like the difference of talent and hard work. I don't know, I find that stuff really interesting, because then I think a lot of people get called as get labeled as promising and others not. And I think that, I don't know, sometimes I think that that's like a hard.
It is hard, but a lot of it really comes down to, when you're teaching, how many, I bet you almost everybody in this room, you were drawing when nobody told you to have to draw. You drew because you love to draw.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember the drawings I was doing in kindergarten. I remember the drawings before kindergarten. I remember what I was drawing, and nobody had to tell me it's art class, time to draw. I drew.
Yeah.
And I think is part of it when you ask about trying to decide.
Back to the want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah.
because you have students who they turn in their assignment and they put in that minimal 4-6 hours. Then you have students who are just cranking and they put it in until it's done, until it's right.
So should we add hardworking as a big,
Well, that
like,
was what I was going to follow up with, is just hardworking and the
Yeah.
ones that continue to learn.
Yeah, hard work beats talent when talent hardly works.
It's good, Timmy.
I know it's not mine.
I mean, I mean, if you want to read, I don't know if you've read Out of Our Minds by Dr. Kenneth Robinson.
No, I haven't.
no,
That's a terrific book to read. And then there's another one I've got called Creativity. And don't ask me to pronounce that guy's name because he's like from Hungary or something like that. And he must have like 26 letters in his last name. But
Yeah.
it's fascinating because they're talking about creativity, not just in art, but creativity in math, creativity in science. And so much of the people who are successful, it's the act of doing. That's it. And it's not hard work. They like doing it. In other words, you're doing it and it's not hard work because you like it. It's everybody's in this room because they want to be here.
hmm
Not because they have to be here, because they want to be here.
Timmy had to be here tonight, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like you guys can all be talented artists, but if I don't show up, there's no broadcast. No,
But-
I'm just kidding. John
and
knows
that's how he's
John knows how to do
Batman of illustration isolation.
Yeah, and also Joseph says, except the people watching Dune. Yeah, the people watching Dune, we're not going to cast any stones or judgments of who's talented and who's not, except the people who skipped last week to watch Dune are not talented.
Oh, wow.
They're
Yeah.
just not going to make it.
Yeah, you're not going to make it probably.
Wow.
I don't know. I think it displays the kind of curiosity that you need for.
Absolutely. And they may not, but you know
Oh.
what? They also could be smarter.
Oh, Joshua,
Yeah.
he just gave sad face, Timmy.
Oh, Dale's equating Dune is kind of like the illustration isolation Rumspringa.
Oh,
Joshua, you're going to be fine, Joshua.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Oh, gosh.
We're just joking. You can all go watch Dune because I guess we don't matter.
Wow, you've got like the mom guilt down pat.
Yeah. Why don't you call me?
Because you just like
Yeah.
just did it. You just like
Yeah.
mom guilted anybody who
Yeah.
did not come up because of that.
You guys never come anymore.
It's because you don't love me anymore. Is that
Yeah,
what you're telling me?
exactly.
You don't love
Yeah.
me? I'm not enough?
I think that's a
Cassandra,
song,
see-
isn't it? Isn't there a
see,
song
Cassandra.
titled that?
Probably.
Yeah, Cassandra, see, I'm in charge of marketing, and that is actually our big 2021 push was mom guilt.
Mom Guilt
Is
2021.
that why you have me writing that blog post now?
Yeah, it works really well. We did a bunch of marketing psychology studies and found out that was the best way. Best way to approach. Yeah.
That so explains why in 2020 I came on the panel.
That's it. It was a guilt move. That's it.
It was part of the big guilt move. Yeah. No, we appreciate our Dune followers. It's okay.
Timmy, read that question one more time.
The one that Cassandra read.
Yes. Or Cassandra, read it one more time, whoever. I'd like to.
All right. It's a long one, so we're gonna do it
That's
twice.
okay.
All right.
Well, it's a good one.
It is a
What
good one.
makes a student a standout student compared to others? Or what makes you think someone who is still early in their development as a professional has the capability to be successful?
I think that one of the biggest, if you have a good skill set and you can make nice pieces. You're starting to put nice pieces in your portfolio. They're getting their professional work, but can you do it consistently?
Yeah.
And that is one of the telltale signs of being a difference between a student and a pro. Is someone that can always look good even when they're not good. I mean, when they're not at their best, then it's still professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, my teacher always said, how good is your average work?
Yeah. And that means a lot. It really does. It's like, you know, we have a lot of art directors come through our program, and that trust answer, you know, asking them what's the most important thing they're looking for, of they relationship wise, that they want with an artist. And they said they feel they have to be able to trust them. And I think that's a huge thing. And that gets back to consistency and putting the effort in.
Here's kind of I feel like this is like a good question from the other side of it, from Neil. I'm a visual artist, filmmaker, and educator. Do you have any suggestions on assisting students to develop a strong work ethic and discipline to push themselves as creatives? I just wrapped up a critique with students where a core group rise to the occasion. I have to maintain boundaries and standards to prepare them for I think the real question is, how do you assist students to develop a strong work ethic and discipline to push themselves as creatives? Just so you can all cling on to the question. I didn't want to.
I'm going to jump on that first, because we teach from a different point of view than what Chris does. Chris has an MFA program, and they actually do things like grade and track their students and do all of that. We don't. Our program's made up of people that they want to be professionals. They want to develop themselves, and you know, I'm pretty straightforward about it. It's like, I don't any kind of, Chris said it earlier, it's like, we can't do anything to make you want to do it. You got to want to do it. And that's who we're catering to. We're catering to the people that really want to do it. And I don't think you can introduce people to different artists and different things, but if that is not there, I don't know how to make somebody want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, John, when I was teaching undergrad, we had a kind of common phrase that a friend of mine used, and it was, no parent makes their kid want to go to, no parent makes their kid go to art school. And yet you have students who have convinced their parents that they want to go to art school, and they're at art school, and yet they're not doing their work.
They're not making art.
They're not showing up to a drawing class. I would teach a commercial figure drawing class where, just like what we're doing here, we're drawing live from a model. We've got nice music being played, and that's your job, just to draw. And you have students who miss half the classes, and of course they flunk. And you're going, this is not, med school where you have to memorize all the Latin terms for every amino acid and spell it correctly. We're just here to draw and make work. And yet, how do you force a student to want to do that?
There's a Jimmy Kimmel line. If it's on my calendar, I don't want to do it.
That's funny.
I can kind of relate to sometimes when people ask questions about like, how do you find, discipline or like work ethic?
That's a different thing.
Because
to me it is.
Well, this is the thing is like, as an art teacher, you haven't been tasked with teaching that. But I do often find myself like wondering, like, has my work ethic ever been improved, or my discipline been improved because I was inspired by another person? I would say so, that happens, but there's a lot of magic with that isn't. I mean, there are just some people that just inspire that. And if you're talking about a person who just has no work ethic, I think that's nurtured over a lifetime, or, is sometimes like there are certain, I mean, I don't mean to like ramble too long about personally, but like there are just some days where like I chemically don't have work ethic. It's very difficult.
Well, when you're in school, a
Yeah.
lot of times, you're in a classroom, and it could be with like anywhere from 8 to 12 to 18 students.
Yeah.
And when you're in a classroom and you look around at your peers, your peers talk to each other in a way that a faculty can't talk
Yeah.
to you. In other words, I can remember when I was in school, somebody turned in a piece of artwork that wasn't very good, and we would call each other out in pretty aggressive terms in a way that a faculty couldn't say that. And so because of that, it was like, do I really want to put something up there again and have my classmates berate me in front of everybody else? And so there was a certain kind of almost competition that you had. You knew. I had a guy in my class. He was clearly the point of the pyramid. He was clearly the point of the pyramid. And I was somewhat behind. And I was like going, man, I want to knock him off the pyramid. I want to knock him off the pyramid. So I worked so hard to try to knock him off the pyramid. And yet he was up there at the top, and he sure as hell did not want me to catch him. And so as much as he motivated me, I motivated him. And yet we've been friends our entire life. It wasn't a competition that was aggressive or mean-spirited. It was just there in the classroom. And if you're in a classroom and you have fellow classmates and you know where you are on the pecking order, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of people passing you up, you better get your butt in gear, because the world is going to pass you by.
I don't think you can choose a creative career. I don't care how talented you are, if you don't really love it. I mean, I've been tasked with that several times in my life, and decided I didn't draw as a kid. I didn't, some of the things you were describing, Chris, that wasn't me. I looked at what my father was doing as hard work. I was like, I didn't want any part of that. And I didn't decide to be an artist until I was, 17 years old, or even start drawing.
I will say this though, John, you're a very competitive person.
Yeah.
And so I've seen you on a tennis court, and so, you could beat me like a tied down goat with your left hand. But if I had a couple good shots on you, you weren't going to ever let that happen again. I mean, that's it. That's the competitive spirit that you have. And you bring the same competitive spirit to your art. And that's why maybe you might say in a short order, you got real good, real fast.
But like back to the question, which I understand how you guys have work ethic and discipline. I think that might be one of the hardest skills to like kind of hone during a lifetime. And I think it's it's reliant on a lot of things. Like a lot of stars have to align sometimes.
Nah,
to work.
I just disagree, Timmy. It's just all it is building habits.
Well, that for
I've had this conversation with Sterling a number of times. The hardest thing that I had to learn, because I was a fairly gregarious individual, I like social life and stuff, was I had to learn to be alone and get comfortable with enjoying what I like to do. I always liked doing art, but at the beginning, I really had to battle with how do I do this and spend this much time by myself. That was the hardest thing I had to learn.
That's really difficult. When I say not like having those skills, I like one of the number one symptoms of depression is like losing interest in the things you used to love.
Yeah.
So things like that. So I'm very sympathetic to someone who goes through that. I think you have to be aware though of like when you're feeling that, if a person is struggling with being focused or disciplined, or really asking yourself, okay, do I actually like illustration, or do I like what I'm doing creatively?
Well, I think
or do I kind of have a head cold? Essentially, I mean, that's how I kind of.
I don't know. I think you're
Yeah.
You're talking about a few different things here now.
Yeah.
There's,
Well,
I think on the one hand, you know,
Yeah.
the initial question was about, you know, how do you become disciplined? And
Yeah.
it really is just a matter of building habits. And that's easy to do as long as you
I
know,
agree with that. Yeah.
really want to do something. You can just you can create habits, and all that is doing something at the same time every day, no matter what, whatever technique you use. But you know, depression is a completely different thing. And aside from, you know, next to that, adjacent to that, I know people who were really good artists or musicians or even athletes.
Yeah.
And then when they tried to make it something that they did for a living, they realized, I don't want to ruin something I love.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to love this thing, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
Yeah, there
also,
really-
sorry. Go ahead and finish your statement. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead, Cassandra.
Well, I just I feel like I struggled in the fact that I was a hard worker, but I was not on the professional level. I felt when I came out of school and illustration academy, like I looked around at who was my competition, and I realized I wasn't ready yet. So I found a job that allowed for me to become good. It helped me grow my discipline. And I worked for Trader Joe's as an artist for 15 years, just having tight deadlines, doing stuff for the company out of the back of a grocery store.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you have to figure out like, how much do you want it and how can you get those skills and look outside the box. Like, it doesn't mean you start approaching editors. If you're not ready, you're not ready. But you got to find your way to find the time to make the skill. For me, it meant finding that job and becoming good enough so that I was at a professional level. So when I was ready, like I was immediately able to hop into some really interesting opportunities because I built skill from working hard for the company for 15 years. But that's not the normal route. But it's not, you know, everybody's path is going to be different, and you have to be open to looking outside the box.
Hey, on that note, we need to move on to our third pose. We're very late. Our long pose was our middle pose, everybody.
Timmy,
So, yeah.
look at my board. I did that a long time ago.
Well, you should have brought the whole crew with you.
I said something. Nobody was listening.
Yeah, I'm on the third pose too.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that the audience knows we're on the third pose. Please share your work on Instagram using hashtag illustration isolation and at Visual Arts Passage. Okay.
I pointed that. Timmy, I only said that because I'm usually not. So
No, I know. I was like, I mean, John, I looked at yours and I was like, has John been drawing the same image the whole time? I mean, that's what I'm used to.
I hope you didn't think that by the drawing I'm doing right now.
No,
I'd be in a lot of trouble.
I just assumed. I lost track of time though. So this third pose is going to be, if you're just starting it, which a few people are not, but but if you're just starting it, it's going to be maybe one of your shorter poses. So.
What you
So
got?
John, real quick, you've been noticing those Kinsella heads that he's been posting?
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't seen those. Yeah.
He's Louise, man, dude. There you go. When we talk about traditional drawing, you know, he's just crushing it.
They're good.
He's pretty good.
I was going to say I don't really care for him much, but you know, it's interesting. You know, Edward is good at a lot of different things. I mean, that's a really personal expression. If you ever get a chance, I mean, and you've probably, Dale, you may not have, but Chris, you may have from the academy. But he's like, when he's traveled, he's created these sketchbooks.
Oh yeah, I saw those.
Oh God, yes.
God, they're just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Here's a question from Addison, and maybe we go one by one. Do you think the art school environment is easier or more difficult now than when you went originally?
I don't know. I didn't go to art school.
I didn't either. I went to a university.
Yeah, I went to university also.
I went to university.
That might tell you something, right?
Well, but the other thing too, though, is
I made a bet with Addison that you guys were going to say it was harder and uphill both ways.
Well,
I was wrong.
well, Timmy, no, because my dad kind of watched out what I was doing,
Yeah.
and he was a total hard ass. So, I joke about.
John, you're like the epitome of the Malcolm Gladwell, like outliers, you were in that environment that was like
That's true.
the perfect environment to, I mean, it's a compliment more than anything. It's this like perfect like fostered garden of learning for what you do.
Yeah, you would think I'd be better, right?
Dude,
Pretty
you're
hard.
good.
Yeah.
I joke about that a lot. If anybody was born with a silver spoon in their mouth as an illustrator, it was me. I was lucky that way.
Yeah.
Around a lot of, but you know what? It's one of the things that made me want to develop or to teach in a way, because I knew my experience was really good and I thought it was unique, and it's been really helpful for a lot of other people that I try to let that experience drift into an educational program.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I on the other side, learning art is like learning anything else too. I mean, I think people treat it differently for reasons that don't make sense to me. Most of what we're doing here is acquired knowledge.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think there's magic.
It's not.
Nope.
I mean, you see somebody like Chris Payne that's really facilitated with it, and he, not all the times, but a lot of the times, he makes art. It happens, and I don't mean that. I mean that as a total positive, Chris. I don't think that many people make art. I think a lot of it is just a physical, technical skill. And there's Chris's work, Dale's work, what Cassandra's doing now. There's a lot of personal expression in that. And that's when the art part starts happening. But it's a combination of a lot of things to get there.
Well, I found it really inspirational too. The more artists I learned about and just learning about their lives and just seeing the hard work that it took to get to where they are, I found that very encouraging, because, there's this horrible stereotype for some reason that you're just innately born with skill and that makes you a good artist. And it's a lie. It's a lot of hard work to get to the point where you're a good artist. And to learn how hard artists work, or to even see like a master's bad drawing, I found that so encouraging.
Absolutely. Well, it's just nice to know that, not everybody has a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some days, I still remember going back in my portfolio when I was in college, and I was going through all the work and setting it up. And I had, I guess, about 6 drawings that I thought were my best drawings from school. And 4 of them were from the same day.
Huh.
No kidding.
That was a good day, Chris.
But what I'm saying is, think about it. Okay, yeah, I have 4 of them, but that meant there was a whole lot of really bad days. There were a whole lot of bad days.
On the topic of bad master works and whatnot, I actually have a question, because like now, if there was a successful artist now and maybe they did a bad illustration or a bad painting and it became publicly visible, it's really easy for me to believe that occurred, mainly because it's so easy to distribute information like that, like to snap a photo, somebody to take the photo and it end up on the internet and then get distributed. But did these artists that you're talking about, like a master artist that has a painting that is just deemed terrible, did they just have a bunch of yes men in their crew or something? How did it?
No,
How
it was
did
like,
it
oh,
get
okay,
out?
like I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I went to an exhibit, and I think it was
Yeah.
Frederick Church had like this immaculate painting of the Natural Bridge. It was just
Mhm.
gorgeous. And I saw his preliminary sketches for it, and some of them were just really bad.
Really?
And like they just weren't well executed drawings, but his painting was gorgeous. And I just loved it. I just like ate it up. Just that, there was some stinky sketches in there, but it didn't define him as an artist. He did a beautiful, gorgeous painting, but like there was a lot of hard work that went into that beautiful painting.
Yeah.
Early, Cassandra, you'll get a kick out of this. Early in my career, I mean, we all did clip files. And for those younger people here, what I mean by clip files, we would cut pictures of illustrations out of magazines. We put them in files. And we'd also put clip pictures of cars and birds, and we'd have files. So we would have this collection of reference material for jobs we were working on. And so we would go and we'd be looking for artwork all the time of our heroes like Bernie Fuchs and Mark English and all these folks. And you're going through them, and every now and then you come across some illustration in a magazine that, I mean, is just wretched, just wretched. And so what we would do is we would sign one of these great artists' names, to sign their signature to the artwork, and take a picture of it and send it to one of our friends and say, look at this really crappy Bernie Fuchs. It was just a way for us to sit there and make ourselves feel better in our
Yeah,
little
that's great.
It was funny. I really got good at imitating Bob Heindel's signature. Oh, God.
Oh, that makes you feel better. I feel like I was one of those kooks where I was just like, I love to see a great artist's bad drawing.
I mean, obviously it wasn't their work, but it made us feel better.
Yeah, yeah.
Funny, Chris, I was driving back from Colorado Springs and I stopped at to fill up my car, ran into the restroom, and I'm standing sorry for the visual here, but I'm standing at the urinal and I'm looking at the wall and I'm looking at all of these. They were cut out pages from magazines, and it was a whole series of Austin Briggs automobile art.
Oh, wow.
I thought, how unusual is that? What a awkward, weird, funny place. Where did they come up with those?
Should have
And
taken a cell phone photo of that, man.
I did.
Awesome.
So John, I know I told you about this, and Cassandra, I shared it with you. Did you guys hear at all about the Mischief company selling the 1,000 possibly real copies of an illustration by Andy Warhol?
No.
So
I thought it was Picasso you were telling.
No, it was Warhol.
No, it's Andy Warhol.
Okay, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah. It was they created basically 1,000 forgeries of this one illustration, and they're selling all of them, including the original one, each at $250. So it says you will not be told whether the piece you purchase is the Warhol original, but you might get it. So the title of it, though, is possibly Real Copy of Fairies by Andy Warhol.
Huh. What does
It
it
feels
matter?
like so Andy Warhol, by the way.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
They're essentially, what they've done, though, is, because I'm reading more about it, and the original illustration is worth $20,000. What they've done is they've gotten a $20,000 painting or $20,000 illustration and figured out how to manufacture about $250,000 worth of revenue, which is wild. It's a good con.
It's the best cons are the ones they kind of know it's a con and they still
Yeah.
jump in anyway, right?
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah.
to Andy Warhol with a kind of a Mark Kostabi approach.
I don't know Mark Kostabi.
That's good you don't. He's a painter. If you read, very flamboyant, made a lot of noise in the late 80s and 90s. Museums were buying his work, and he got to the point where he was hiring people to do his paintings, and then eventually he got to the point where he was selling these things, and they created a good value. And the final straw was he didn't even have to put any effort into anything, that he would pay somebody to sign them for them.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny. Did
They're
you see
awful. It's awful work.
It's
but
awful work.
It's awful
Did you see the
work.
thing that was going around about Bob Kane?
No.
I saw it on Facebook this week. So I guess I don't know if this is true. I saw it on Facebook.
Gotta be real then.
Right. So Bob Kane wasn't doing Batman anymore, and somebody asked him about it, and he was. I'm really paraphrasing. He said, "Well, let me show you what I'm doing that I'm really proud of," and brought him into a studio, and there's all these clown paintings, and
Kind of a la
Red
Red Skeleton.
Yeah. And long story short, he got sued by the real painter of the clowns. So he didn't even do these. He didn't even do the clown paintings. And the knock against him was that he wasn't even doing Batman anymore. So just to try to look like he had some credibility, I guess he was doing this fine art that was clowns, and got sued by the guy who actually painted him.
That's
Well,
funny.
did he apparently, I guess he had burnt a number of bridges, from what I understand.
Yeah. Someone in the audience probably knows the story better than I do. I just thought it was a riot that, you're still running your game there, trying to get people to think the clown paintings are yours.
I haven't gone that far yet. Clown paintings. Clown.
I've done a clown painting.
Do you remember this line, Chris? Clown people.
Yeah.
And we
What's
won't tell the story, but I knew you would remember it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you someday, Dale. It's a funny story.
Cassandra, that looks great.
Oh, thanks.
Let me see what
Nice.
Cassandra's doing.
Oh,
the
whoa.
test project.
That's not cardboard.
Yeah.
Would you get
Yeah.
some fancy book?
Oh, I've had this for 15 years. It's like where I did a bunch of watercolors in it and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Maybe she is on the payroll for going out buying art supplies. What the
Oh,
hell?
no.
Yeah.
It doesn't count if it's more than a decade old and has been sitting on my shelf unused. Don't worry, I have my huge stack of cardboard. I'm getting back to it, but I have like so many jars of walnut ink I'm trying to get through.
You gotta market that stuff now, right?
Right.
Cassandra's own.
Yeah.
Really, you could get your whole vibe going there. You ship it in the cardboard that you did a painting on.
Yeah, I'm like not even kidding. So my show opens next week, and my husband's coworker has been graciously 3D scanning my work for it since it's going virtual. And so he came over, and like everyone who comes over, like they always walk out of the house with a cardboard painting under their arm. And so I was like,
Oh, that's cool.
pick out your painting, and they just grab a painting and walk out the door. Anybody who comes by, this is what happens.
So they're 3D scanning it?
Yeah, because my husband works for a company that sells 3D software and printers and scanners. So they have access. And since my show's gone virtual, because we were a little uncomfortable with how COVID was. But everything I'm making is very dimensional because I'm restoring wood items and painting on them. So they're 3D scanning them. So you can look at them on the website all around.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
What company does he work for?
Trimec.
Okay.
Yeah, I would never otherwise have access to any of this or be able to afford it because like a 3D scanner like starts at like between $45,000 and $60,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, 3D scanner. Okay, I'm thinking printers.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. In 5 years, everybody's going to have one.
Yeah, it'll be very
Right.
accessible in the next few years, but right now it's still considered relatively new. So I
Yeah.
just feel lucky that we're able to kind of play with it and see how well we can get good scans. It's really cool to see my work that way. I'm having fun with it.
And are the scans, is the color good on the scans and everything? Or
Yeah, the color's been looking pretty good. I'll send you like a link to one of them and you can see
Oh,
what it
cool.
looks like.
And when does your show open?
Next Thursday, actually.
Oh, so what are you going to do next Thursday?
I'll probably be here because it opens in the morning online. It's
Oh,
not like I have
okay.
to
All
be in
right.
a show.
I was just going to give you a hard time, but
Yeah, how
That's
is that
fine.
going to work, Cassandra?
yeah, you can't. You're on the payroll.
Wow.
Job's a job. That's why I'm holding out. My contract is up in the air.
Oh, you're a free agent now?
I am. I'm testing the market here. So far, crickets.
I don't know. I think you might be able to increase that market as long as you say dress that way. Keep the cost.
I forgot how he was dressed.
I think
You're
it
talking
would-
about
These
the
collars here.
We're talking about the Halloween
like
costume.
Michael Myers there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't me. That was I have a big decoration thing.
Oh, gosh, here I thought you were in the spirit. I thought they said.
I am not in the spirit. We do keep that up for Christmas and put a red hat on him though.
Nice.
That's efficient.
It's lazy.
Here's a
So
question.
Christmas is a killer in your house, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a question. I feel like my art is good and my skills are good, but I have no style. How do you know when you found your style? It's a pretty open question. That's what they said.
You know you found your style when people can tell that it's your work.
Right. They don't
It
need
doesn't
to-
mean that you'll like your style. All it means is that you have a style.
And honestly, I oftentimes say that I believe where your style first comes is how you draw.
Yep.
You know who has a style? Felicity has a style.
Yep.
Yes, built in. Yeah.
Yeah.
The odds are, unfortunately, she's going to lose it because she's going to learn and it's going to screw her up.
You can see she's learning already,
Yep.
right?
Is that
Times the clock's ticking.
Rebecca laughed.
Well, maybe she might be able to learn how to control it. But
Nah.
we were talking about Alan Kober earlier. He learned how to control that. Very few.
Was that a
do.
conscious? Do you think that was a conscious thing with him?
Yeah, very much.
How
so.
he saw things. It was how he saw things.
Who are you
Yes.
guys talking? Hey guys, slow down. Who are you talking about?
Alan Kober.
Alan.
Alan E. Kober. Funny, Chris. You
And for those in the audience who have no idea,
Look him up.
well, we are an educational platform. Maybe you could fill them in.
amazing illustrator from very late, early, probably early 70s, late 60s to probably, I think Alan passed away in early 90s, way too soon.
Yep.
Did a lot of editorial work, he did a ton of institutional work, really great institutional work. He was part of the illustrators workshop. I got to know him when I was a teenager because I studied, went on a couple, well, Chris did too. Got to learn from those guys, and he guy was absolutely brilliant. Chris, you'll laugh about this, about my dad remarking about Alan drawing, and he said it was like kind of Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, that scene.
Yeah.
Are you? So I'm funny, like I'm funny, haha. My dad made the comment and said, "Alan, how did you learn to control that style of drawing?" And Alan looked at him and he goes, "What do you mean? What style?" And the joke, Alan said something very funny. He said, "Mark," he said, "when for a long time," he goes, "I thought I drew just like you." He said, I thought my work looked like that. It took me a long time to realize it didn't. I didn't." And it truly was the way he saw things.
Yep.
So he was doing it right by doing it wrong.
That's right.
Well, and the thing is, and again, this isn't, when I say this, I don't want anybody to take this as if I'm knocking another artist, but I've always felt that, one of the things that made Bob Peaks such a great, successful artist was the fact that he really understood the times in which he was illustrating. He understood the needs of the client, understood the demands of what he was doing and who he was doing it for. But if you look at Bob Peaks' work, you definitely can say, well, that looks like that's from this time period. That's from this time period. That's from the late 60s. This is from the 70s. This is from the 80s. Alan Kober's work, if you saw his drawings from 1969, you wouldn't say that looks like a 1960s drawing. You wouldn't say his drawings from 1970s looks 1970s. And that's, to some degree, what Alan was saying. I mean, I think his work is devoid of style. It's just the way he drew. It's just the way he drew.
Devoid of style, but it was totally recognizable.
Oh, yes. No, but what I mean, it's like, it wasn't like a conscious effort to draw with style. It's just the way he drew. And so it really created, I think, work that it's timeless. It really is.
Yeah.
But do you think part of that, Chris, do you think that's also due to, I mean, he was, artists loved him, but he never got to the point where he was so popular that he was identified with a time period. So I think that's I don't know, in my opinion, that's a big part of that as well. What do you think of that?
Well, I know one of the other things too was Alan was dyslexic, severely dyslexic. And whether that dyslexia came to play a part in how he saw things, which is why, early on, he said, he had a very difficult time, with reading because the dyslexia and writing. So I don't know, but
that's actually why I'm also an iconic illustrator.
Because Alan Kober was dyslexic?
I have dyslexia. Yeah, I have dyslexia. No, I on that note, I was just going to tell everybody, let's give a 5-minute warning. So I'm going to say like a 3-minute. Start posting your work, people. In about 3 minutes. Okay. We're gonna at 7:55. So in about 6 minutes, we're gonna open up Instagram. So get ready to start posting your work, snapping photos of it. I'll include the info in the chat, but we want to check it out at the end of the night. This is our favorite part, so be sure.
And whoever asked that question, that's a great question. I don't want to. We kind of wandered from it. Dale answered it right. It's like when you can recognize somebody's work without seeing a name, there's a voice there. I like the word voice a lot better than style, because I
Yep.
think style gets into technique, and people say, well, I want to do the Bernie Fuchs style or technique or whatever. I think I think personal voice, it doesn't matter what materials you're using. Your work is influenced by your life experiences, things that you've managed to find a way to go back and be able to use your own experiences to make work. And I
John, would you say you can mimic style, but you can't mimic voice?
agree with that.
I like that, Timmy.
Wow, I said something Dale likes finally.
Whoa.
Well, you weren't telling me to be quiet. That's why.
Oh, you know what? I've been striking out all night, and I finally got one from you, Dale. This is great.
But again, I reiterate, I think it all starts with how you draw. I think that's one of the real beginning processes, because as I've said, being a baseball geek, every baseball player bats holding the bat a certain way, and yet you look and I see a photograph, I don't need to see the number, and I know that's Hank Aaron. I don't see the number, and I know that's Mickey Mantle, even though they're all holding a bat, they're all doing, but there's a certain style in which they do that. It's just their human nature. And I think how you draw is the place for you to start when you're wondering about style, if that's something you're going to concern yourself with at an early point. How do you draw? And that's a huge factor for me.
I agree with that, Chris. I think that's the beginning place. I think a lot of it is to learn how, everybody talks about artists continuing to learn, and I think it's really important. You keep reading, you pay attention to what's going on in the world. I mean, you gotta have a wealth of knowledge and a resource. And I think if you can make that resource, part of that resource, be something that's unique to you, you learn to library your own information.
Again,
And trying to access that is where voice comes from.
Again, curiosity.
Yep.
Hey,
My dad used to say, the act of drawing from memory was incredibly important for him, because all you have is your own library. You don't have anybody, you're not influenced by anything else but what you retain and what you remember. And I think a lot, and the more I think about it, a lot of the artists that I look at, I think that's what stands out about them, is they've found a way to do that.
But through a lot of drawing on his own, he developed a keen sense of observation, and he could take that information of what he observed and learned and applied it to his imagination.
Yeah. He was a great observer too. I'd love, you'd be at a public place, like at a restaurant or something, and he would always hit me on the arm and he'd say, look at that guy, look at that person. And he would be observing something that was unique about that individual.
Yep.
And, you do it not just about people, but about things that he saw. And he would record, he recorded that stuff. I mean, he put it in his memory bank and used it.
Landscapes, cloud formations, anything along those lines.
Yeah. We're getting close, Timmy.
I was just gonna say T-minus 1 minute now.
All right, I'm gonna
on Instagram. So if you're not posting yet, you're gonna be racing the clock. So you better do it. Last week I asked John to refresh. I'm not gonna do it a third time.
Wow. Tough Timmy's back.
Dale, are we gonna see each other in a post-pandemic world? I want to go out to Boston or something.
I think I'm coming out to Icon. You gonna do that?
Great. Yeah, we'll be here.
All right, well.
That makes it easy.
That makes it easy. That's great. I didn't want to go to Boston.
Oh, poor you.
I
Boston's
love
awesome.
Boston, actually. I love Boston.
Boston is awesome.
Yeah. It's one of the coolest things I've ever I was on St. Patrick's Day in Southie.
Oh, God.
It was it was like the only time I've ever been to Boston.
Oh, my God. That is so not representative. Oh, yeah, but actually, it really is, but not really. Oh,
It was really, you know what? It was a human experience. It was really exciting. There were a bajillion things happening. I saw a police officer do a keg stand.
yep. Yep.
It was just like total mayhem.
What year?
That'd be like 2013, 2014.
Okay.
Just wandering into strangers' homes, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
like really just wandered into people's homes.
Yeah.
It was so weird. And they were just, it was a street, it was a whole house party just open to the street.
Hey, Jimmy, let's stop talking for a second
Sure.
because there's something I want to do, and that's I want to walk around the room. I want to I want to see Chris's work and Dale's work and
Sure. Yeah,
Sandra.
we'll start with Chris.
Oh yeah, Chris's is looking so good.
Oh, that's awesome, Chris.
That's just wrong.
That is so good.
So good.
Look at that hand.
I know.
I know, that was what I was really jealous about. Also, the teeth are beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, beautiful.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's great, Cassandra.
Thanks.
Let's see. Awesome. Really, really awesome. I love that.
Beautiful.
So anybody's trying to get the weird raccoon in the corner?
I didn't even notice that in the photo. That's cool.
That's
I love that.
That's so cool.
Oh wow.
What kind of costume is he going to be in? The raccoon.
Oh, well, he requires a cravat, of course. Oh, that looks really good.
Great deal.
Oh, thanks.
That nose bridge
Nice,
wrinkle I
Dale.
was struggling with. You got it really well.
Stopping at your studio last, John.
Good. I need the time.
Nice.
Oh, that blue is beautiful.
Yeah, I love that blue, John.
Hey, the blue. Wow.
Wow. Nice.
Fun one to draw.
Is that blue in the photo, John?
Yeah.
Not in mine. It's black and white. Yeah.
Well,
it's in-
actually,
the
the
it
photo
is
has
in the
blue in
photo.
it.
Yeah, I saw it in the photo. I've been following the black and white, but I remember the blue being there. Yeah.
Chuck Todd says, John, you need to stop and post.
Okay. I have
Well
to.
done, Chuck. Well done.
Hey, we got a
No
dictator.
backseat driving, Chuck.
We got a wise guy.
I got
over
enough.
there.
I got enough problems in here.
Yeah, Chris, the last time you were in here, you called me Dictator Timmy and
It's stuck.
unfortunately stuck.
No, I didn't say, I just simply explained to you why it's the most efficient form. That's all.
You know what? Somebody else brought it up and John defended you and said, you know what? Chris was praising you.
Yeah,
And I appreciate that, Chris.
absolutely.
Also identifies.
It's called
with-
love. It's called love. It's
Hey.
called love.
Hey,
Okay,
thank you,
I'm hitting
Chris.
refresh.
I appreciate you. I know you're always looking out for me. I appreciate you.
I remember
Oh,
my son
Right.
once complained that we live in a democracy, and I said, "Well, in this house, you live in a benevolent dictatorship. So
Oh, yeah.
go to bed."
A benevolent dictatorship.
Yeah.
It's
All
not
right,
one of
we ready?
those. Yeah, we are ready. It's not one of those functioning dictatorships.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Uh-oh. It's just that's like a slow load, John.
Okay. It disappeared too.
Oh,
Here we go.
that's great.
Oh, that looks really good.
That's nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah, great
That's good.
color.
Cool.
Last one.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, I'm so glad you got Guillermo in
Oh.
it.
Excellent.
That is great. Hey, I got to get more pastel off my hands here. I got
I love Guillermo.
John's gonna have to. We're gonna have to replace his. That's why we're always replacing your
I
laptop.
was covered in pastel. Is that bad? Just does.
Oh,
Oh,
nice,
wow.
Julian.
Wow.
Look at
That's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that is nice.
Maybe we get sponsored by FX.
Here we go.
Oh, that's great.
No need for a signature on that.
Yeah.
Nice, Felicity.
Excellent.
Total.
Oh, I like that she even wrote
industry
NASA on his
recognition.
forehead. Well done.
That was great.
Nice.
Whoa.
Great.
Oh, that's so fun.
I'm going to open anybody's that's got two figures.
Yeah.
in it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Right?
I love the hair being brushed.
I see you for the Tiki
Wow.
Maki.
I don't know where that came from.
That's from the film.
Yeah, that was
Oh, is
from
it?
your post.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Wow.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Nice. Oh,
I-
that's good.
Okay.
Nice, Randy.
Here's some good voice being developed. I knew who that was.
Yep.
I know who this is.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that.
And I think I know who that is too. Yep. There's a voice happening, starting to
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
consistently. But that's yeah, I knew that was Peter. Great piece, Peter. Look at that. That's fun drawing.
That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man. Marcy.
Oh,
Really good.
oh, Marcy, your raccoon looks so good.
That's a yeah.
Oh wow. The
Great.
raccoon is awesome.
All kinds of fun stuff here.
Nice, Jeff.
I commend you for taking that one on. That's a tough pose. There's a lot going on there. Look at these.
Wow.
Oh,
Whoa.
beautiful, Gary.
Gary, did you start early?
Wow.
Gary's been drawing all day with us.
I was gonna say, man, that is just wicked. Good.
It's beautiful.
Well,
I
look,
posted these images this morning, so if you
Okay.
cheat
look at
it,
that.
I was gonna say, if that's done in 20 minutes, I'm breaking my crayons.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
he did it. No, he did these in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Really?
jeez, give me a
That's
break.
gorgeous.
I bet he did.
yeah, own up to it. Tell us if you didn't. Be honest.
I bet he did. He did some stuff with us this
Whoa.
morning. He
I
did
mean,
a
look,
Dracula
he's got
this
all the
morning.
poses.
Holy mama.
I only post about 35 or 40 minutes before the morning session, and he nailed it.
Yeah, John, but I post. Oh, you're saying this morning's
This
work.
morning.
I understand what you're saying. The
Yeah.
studio bridge. Yeah. I was like, the whole in your argument though is you send the images to me.
This is nice. It's really good.
Hmm.
So many good ones. I got to see what's good.
Oh, that's cool.
That's fun.
Good take on that.
I really like
That's
that.
really funny.
Okay.
Wow.
Nice.
Fun.
A lot of good ones.
Did somebody draw a Colin Robertson? Is
I
that what
love
that is?
that.
over
Yeah, the
there?
one on the right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's great. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you for drawing Colin. I appreciate that.
Yeah. He deserved to be included.
Yes.
Ooh, good one.
Wow.
I like your handle name too.
Yeah.
Very nice. Who's that? Nice.
So fun.
Okay, I just have to click on this. I got to see what it is.
Wow.
Is that the nose?
Yeah.
Who did this one?
Oh, that's.
Wow. Wow.
That's
I don't
I
okay.
know.
love how you handled her cheekbones, Chris.
I don't see a voice.
Wow.
Now,
Oh man.
look at this guy. That's great.
That's fantastic.
Gary says he started them a little early.
So did he really? Oh, wow.
Oh, what's a little early, Gary?
Hey, listen, Gary can draw on my team anytime. He just,
Chuck, that is fantastic.
It
way to
is.
go, Chuck.
Oh, I love it.
Wow, that's really good, Chuck.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Real consistency coming out of Chuck's work, I'll say that much. Very
Oh,
nice.
fun. Really nice, Peter.
That looks fun. Yeah, both of them, I have to click it. That's great.
Yeah.
Look at this one.
That's cool.
Oh, that's great. Oh, he did dry erase marker again. Really
Oh,
cool, man.
wow.
Really impressed with that.
I keep imagining these are on like a dry erase board. They're like 3 feet tall.
Oh, like in a break room?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how big is your dry erase board? I do want to know that.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, that's really nice.
Way to go, Heather. That's really nice. Heather, we need to catch up.
Wow.
Oh,
They got
this whole
some
row
blue
is
going on here.
fantastic.
All,
Nice,
all,
Mercy.
all of these are great.
Nice, Randy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really great.
really, really nice.
It's like they timed their posting so they could all be together.
Huh? Really
one,
good,
Mercy.
Marcy.
I love that one.
This is
Oh, I love
awesome.
that. I really love that.
Good
That's
blood
great.
splatter.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, good raccoon. I'm always excited when I see the raccoon in the corner.
Oh, that's fun. There you go, Sally.
Yeah, Sally, I love the color.
Oof.
Very well. Very well done.
The one straight to the left. I love
That's
that.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Good one, Gina.
Woohoo.
Jenna. Very nice, Brian.
Yeah.
24 by 18 for the whiteboard.
Ah,
wow.
okay.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's still an impressive size.
There's 2 of them. I got to do it, right?
Yep.
Good job.
Potato profit.
that one down there on the
Right.
that's wow.
That's interesting.
Oh, sorry, Jenna. I always called you Gina, I think. Have I always pronounced your name wrong?
I learned it because of the handle je ne sais quoi.
That makes
It's
sense.
crazy.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Jeez.
Great stuff.
I took the coward's way with the two faces there. I didn't even get close to that.
Yeah, I got the
I
handle.
didn't
of the
even
brush,
draw
and
that
that's it.
one. I took the real coward's way out. I didn't draw it at all.
What is that one over on the?
Oh,
on
with the ones with the books in the middle is a cool thing that Chuck's doing, by the way.
That is awesome.
Nicole. Okay, what, hold on. What's
So-
Chuck doing here?
All right, what's the
I love that Chuck's getting in a plug. Good for you.
Yeah, I
Chuck.
know.
Good.
This is
Way
gonna
to
become a
be.
thing now. Guys, we
Hey,
don't
I'm
wanna-
excited for Chuck. Congratulations.
Nice
But-
going.
But just for the record, to keep illustration isolation intact, we're
I
not
say-
going to plug people if they just use this hashtag.
Well, I think then what you have to do is put the current drawing in with that.
Hey, there is an
illustration.
illustration in that post, if you noticed in the
I know,
bottom.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
and
So I
that
deem
is
that
why-
acceptable.
That is why we will let it slide. But just so people know, the hashtag has been infiltrated by some non-illustration isolation people.
But it's Chuck.
That,
Oh, yeah.
that's Chuck. We want to avoid a precedent. No, that was great.
That was a
awesome.
very fun night, everybody.
That was fun.
We get to the last drawing on Thursday nights. I'm exhausted. I've been drawing all day. So thank you everybody for being here. Timmy, you didn't, I don't know if you brought it up, the sequential class Bill Cobb is teaching 2 weeks from now. If you're interested in a good comic sequential class, Bill Cobb will be teaching one with us. It's a 5-week course. And then a color class taught by Brent Watkinson. Dale, you visited that class. You know, it's a good class.
It's a great class.
Yeah, I love that class.
It totally takes the mystery out of color. It's fantastic.
And then thank you all for joining us. I've been drawing monsters for a month. I'm gonna finish up one more before the weekend, for Halloween, and then I'm done for a while.
Yeah, so just everybody, I shared links to those mini courses right now regarding whether or not we run these courses once per semester. That's the commitment we have. So Julian, no idea if the course will be next semester or whatnot. But it is this semester. So if you want to get in on it, don't sleep on it. And it's looking like Bill's class is definitely going to sell out. So
Yeah, he's got a bunch of people in there already.
yeah, so
cool.
don't wait on that one too long. But everybody else, happy Halloween.
Happy
Yep.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Audrey, I'm sorry you couldn't be here. This was inspired by Audrey. She sent me all the reference. I added a couple of them, or one of them, but she was traveling this week and she couldn't be here. Hopefully she'll be back soon. All right, everybody. Chris, Cassandra, Dale, Timmy. Thank you all so much for being here. And Chris, I'll let you. I'm going to talk to you with your schedule for Great Expectations. It's one I really want to do.
Thank you so much. All right, guys.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
everybody. Take
So
care.
fun.